Evening, everyone, here and in the Zunda. Next weekend, Thursday evening through Sunday morning, will be the session called Bountiful Earth, a Silent Jizo Meditation and Guided Art Retreat. And last weekend I talked about creative practice. Tonight I'll be saying a few words about Jizo Bodhisattva. Jizo is present at Sangha Jewel. We have Jizo statues in the garden. These little statues of Jizo. These may have been made by Chosen Roshi. She has made a vow to create 10,000 Jizo statues. And these little figurines are sort of childlike in their form, which is consistent with the association of Jizo as a protector of children. These and other styles of Jizo statues are very common in Japan, where Jizo is a prominent bodhisattva, right there with Kanzeon, the Japanese word for Kuan Yin, which is the Chinese word for Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, a very prominent bodhisattva throughout Asia. And Jizo is quite prominent in Japan. And these statues are around. I see Daigyo smiling in remembrance of his visit to Japan recently, where he must have seen numerous Jizo statues all around, and it's particularly on roadsides, because Jizo is a protector of travelers, and also in cemeteries, where Jizo is a protector of children who have died, and other places, I'm sure, throughout Japan. Also, Jizo is present during some of our services. Where we chant the Jizo Shingon from time to time. Om ka ka kabisan maeso aka. We repeat that 9 times. And it's a chant that is said to bring benefit to those who are suffering, those who are in need. Jizo's Sanskrit name is Kshitigarbha. And any of you who have practiced in Sesshin and done Oryoki practice and done the meal chant, Kshitigarbha is one of the bodhisattvas that we name during the course of the meal chant. He's one of the 4 principal bodhisattvas in East Asian Mahayana Buddhism, along with Manjushri Bodhisattva of great wisdom, Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva of great compassion, and Samantabhadra Bodhisattva of great enlightening activity. Jizo's full Japanese name is Daigan Jizo Bosatsu, which means Jizo Bodhisattva of the Great Vow. The Sutra of the Past Vows of Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva, one of the Mahayana sutras, says, at the time of his death, the Buddha said, I have worked hard for many kalpas to liberate obstinate human beings. those who have not yet understood the Dharma will surely fall into states of suffering. Hearing this, Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva said, even if their good deeds are as little as a hair, a drop of water, a grain of sand, a mote of dust, or a bit of down, I shall gradually help living beings to liberation. World-honored one, do not feel distressed over beings and generations to come. He repeated this vow 3 times to Buddha. And Shakyamuni Buddha was delighted, and he said, my blessings, I appreciate your strong vows and praise you for your efforts to heal the human world. When you fulfill this great vow, after many kalpas, you will become a Buddha. In her book, Jizo Bodhisattva, Guardian of Children, Travelers, and Other Voyagers, Chosen describes how all beings are part of our lives. Each of you are part of my life, and all of us are part of one another's lives. And we're a part of all beings. And she describes how Bodhisattva virtues are part of our being. Whether we know it or not. She described how Bodhisattvas depict aspects of awakened mind, which we all have, whether we know it or not. All of us have Bodhisattva virtues. Oh, just a minute, skipped a line. At the moment of his awakening, Shakyamuni Buddha said, how miraculous! All beings have the wisdom and virtue of the Tathagata Buddha. All of us have Bodhisattva virtues of wisdom, compassion, enlightening activity, and great vow, whether we know it or not, whether we've seen it or not. Uncover that or not for ourselves. Chosen suggests approaching bodhisattvas as koans. Working with them to discover heretofore unknown truths. Asking ourselves again and again, just as we do with koan practice, who is Manjushri Bodhisattva of great wisdom? Who is Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva of great compassion in my life? Who is Samantabhadra Bodhisattva of enlightening activity in my activity? Who is Jizo Bodhisattva of great vow? How do they manifest in my own life? Inquiring and wondering, and being open to the subtle arising of new insight into previously unknown truths about Bodhisattva virtues in our own life. Jizo's great vow is to take responsibility for instructing all beings in the Buddha Dharma. All beings in the 6 realms throughout the time between Shakyamuni Buddha and the coming of the future Buddha, Maitreya Buddha of a future birth. However long that may be. vow. And what are these 6 realms of activity of Jizo Bodhisattva? They are the heavenly beings realm, the titans or angry ambitious deities realm, human realm, where we usually hang around, the animal realm, the realm of hungry ghosts, and the hell realms. And though they sound supernatural, we all move through these realms in the course of our lifetimes. In the course of the seasons, maybe even the course of a day or an hour. In our personal experiences that exemplify these 6 different realms. The heavenly beings have a wonderful, pain-free existence in their beautiful homes in the clouds. But because of their unawareness of suffering in the world, they can never develop into bodhisattvas who have awakened in order to liberate all beings. They're stuck there. The angry titans are great and powerful, but they want more, always more, and can never be satisfied. Kind of like the tech bros and the political leaders. Because of their greed, anger, and ignorance, they cannot awaken. Human beings live a life knowing suffering. And this realm is the most auspicious for awakening to the truth of the Dharma and working for the liberation of all beings. Animals in the 4th realm are controlled by their appetites and their fears, drawn to what they want and running from what they fear. Sound familiar? And they never gain the perspective that might lead to awakening. Hungry ghosts are restless spirits who desire nourishment but can never be satisfied. They're depicted as having large mouths and large bellies, but very skinny throats, so they can't swallow what they get. They can never be nourished and satisfied. They're caught in their own, too much in their own desires and dissatisfaction to awaken. The Sajiki ceremony we do each year is in service to them. And 6th is a hell realm, or realms, it turns out, where people suffer endless torments because of their past unwholesome actions. Jizo particularly attends to those in the hell realms. And in order to rescue them and bring them back, it's said that he goes down into the hell realms to rescue people and bring them back into the human realm where they might awaken. So I don't know if you could relate to any of those realms while I was describing them or not, but we all move through those realms. We have all been to all of those realms in the course of our lives. And we've seen our friends and family members move through those realms. And how can we aid those who are in those realms? This is a Bodhisattva question. Jizo is revered in Japan as protector of children and travelers, and especially as a protector of aborted fetuses and children who have died. Abortion has been legal in Japan for several decades, like 50 or 60 years or more, as a means of limiting population growth. And there are many parents who honor Jizo for the sake of their children who never lived, were never born. They lived, but they were never born. Chosen has a strong affinity with Jizo in this respect, in this aspect of protecting children, in part because of her career as a pediatric doctor specializing in abused children for a couple of decades or more. And I suspect that the name Great Vow Zen Monastery emerged from her close affinity with Jizo Bodhisattva of the Great Vow. How do we experience Jizo as protector of children in our own lives? For me, it's not so much in regard to afterlife for the deceased and so forth. I don't relate to afterlife very strongly. But I do have young grandchildren, and I want to protect them, although their parents do a very good job at that. We also have a couple of adult children, and I want to protect them too, even though they're quite functional themselves. How do you relate to children? Some of you may have children, some of you may not. I know several of you that do. Maybe you have nieces and nephews, or the children of friends. Maybe you know adolescents or teens, young adults. You know, maybe people that are 20 years younger than you, and you're like, oh, feeling protective of those young, naive, innocent people, right? That's your Jizo Bodhisattva aspect, wanting to protect the innocent, the vulnerable. A sense of compassion and caring and helping. And in regards to children who've died, and setting aside the question of afterlife, for me, an aspect of Jizo and of awakened mind, Bodhisattva mind, is protection of and caring for survivors, grieving parents and other relatives, perhaps especially for mothers. I don't recall knowing any friends or acquaintances who had abortions. Perhaps you do. What a terribly difficult, traumatic, sad, long-lasting pain that must be for those who go through it. I hope to help them if I possibly can, if I ever can. But I know from the experience of several of my friends, that for a parent, the death of a child at any age is completely heartbreaking. Jizo is there for comfort. regards to concern for people in the hell realms, Taigen Dan Leighton mentions a number of modern people who have embodied Jizo attributes in his book, Faces of Compassion, Classic Bodhisattva Archetypes and Their Modern Expression. Interesting book if you don't know it. One of those modern bodhisattvas being Elie Wiesel. Wiesel, the 1986 Nobel Peace Prize winner, who as a teenager in Auschwitz and Buchenwald witnessed the hells of war and the Holocaust and went on to write about them so that they would never be forgotten, standing with the victims as with Jizo. Another being Toni Morrison, winner of the 1993 Nobel Prize in Literature, whose books described the suffering and degradation of Black Americans for centuries and the hells that they were pushed into by the oppressors. And a third being Thich Nhat Hanh, who as a monk in Vietnam founded something called the School for Youth and Social Services, Social Service, an organization whose mission was to help poor farmers in South Vietnam. But they were highly suspected by armies on both sides of that war, and many of his students and friends and colleagues were killed in their efforts to provide those peacemaking services. For the rest of his life, however, he was an eloquent and persuasive advocate for peace and reconciliation. Jizo is said to have many admirable attributes. Included among those are unquenchable optimism. For someone to make a vow to teach the Dharma to all beings in the 6 realms throughout whatever length of time it takes until the Maitreya Buddha appears in the earth, has got to be unendingly optimistic. And also, another vow, unflagging determination, continuing to go on and on, no matter what setbacks, what challenges emerge, what pains that must be gone through. He's also said to be completely fearless, to have no fear, to be willing to go into the depths of hell, of fire and torment and all kinds of tortures that are being imposed on the hell dwellers in order to rescue people from those realms. And another, I think, very relevant attribute that contributes to the degree to which he's beloved in Japan, an attribute of active engagement in daily life. He's not, it's not a bodhisattva energy that is reserved for study and Dharma practice and the Zendo. It's like right out there in the marketplace, on the roads, in the schoolyards, in the bus stations and airports. bringing relief to those that are suffering. How do you all experience these Jizo attributes in your own lives? Optimism? Does that spring forth from your heart? Determination? Determination to make a difference, to relieve suffering? Fearlessness? That's a tough one. We live in pretty fearsome times, fearful times. Engagement in daily life. Well, you all can't really avoid that, right? You do have daily life, but can we be actively, optimistically involved with compassion and benevolence in daily life? How does that all unfold for you? I'm not asking for comments. All right, so recently the Tuesday evening Dharma discussions have been looking at Zen poetry, and I'll close with a poem by Ryokan that embodies the spirit child protector, child companion, Jizo. Yeah, Ryokan, a poor teacher. He had received transmission and he left the monastery and he lived in a little hut and went begging every day. And he loved children. He writes, first days of spring, blue sky, bright sun. Everything is gradually becoming fresh and green. Carrying my bowl, I walk slowly to the village. The children, surprised to see me, joyfully crowd around, bringing my begging trip to an end at the temple gate. I place my bowl on top of a white rock and hang my sack from the branch of a tree. Here we play with the wild grasses and throw a ball. For a time, I play catch while the children sing. Then it's my turn. Playing like this, here and there, I have forgotten the time. Passers-by point and laugh at me, asking, what is the reason for such foolishness? No answer I give, only a deep bow. Even if I replied, they would not understand. Look around. There is nothing but this. So, there's still time to register for the Bountiful Oath Jizo session. Registration is open until Tuesday, I believe. And next Sunday evening, Mushin and Joman will perform a Jizo ceremony during the Sunday evening program. So I encourage you all to attend that. May your practice go well. Do your best.